When your prime minister books a flight to China while his own MPs are circulating letters calling him weak and disgusting, you're either witnessing brilliant strategic timing or a political leader literally fleeing the scene of the crime. Welcome back to UK Political Insight, where Keir Starmer's jetting off to Beijing for trade talks while Labour's civil war rages at home. And honestly, the optics couldn't be worse if he'd tried. We've got Starmer defending the Burnham bloc by saying it would divert resources, while critics say he's terrified of a leadership challenge. We've got Nigel Farage gleefully saying reform's chances in Gorton and Denton just improved massively overnight. We've got rumors that Wes Streeting might move against Starmer as soon as this week while he's abroad. And we've got Andy Burnham joking that he had nothing else to do this weekend except read a report because he certainly wasn't being allowed to campaign. This is political chaos meets international diplomacy meets leadership crisis, and it's absolutely glorious. Let's break it all down. So Keir Starmer's heading to China on Tuesday for trade talks, and then Japan at the end of the week. In normal circumstances, that's standard prime ministerial business, strengthening economic relationships with major trading partners, boosting British exports, showing the UK's engaged internationally. Except these aren't normal circumstances. These are circumstances where your own party's in open revolt, MPs are calling your decisions disgusting, letters are circulating condemning you, and a crucial by-election campaign is about to start where you've just blocked your most popular potential candidate. The headline Keir Starmer flees to China is deliberately provocative but not entirely unfair. Flee suggests running away from danger or responsibility, and while this trip was probably scheduled months ago, the timing makes it look like Starmer's escaping the mess he's created at home. He'll be thousands of miles away in Beijing while Labour MPs are organizing opposition, while Reform's ramping up their Gorton and Denton campaign, while the media's dissecting every aspect of the Burnham decision. That's either incredibly unfortunate timing or deliberate strategy to let the story cool down while he's elsewhere. Starmer defended the decision on Monday at a health center in Wimbledon, which is itself interesting because he's doing defensive media appearances at random locations trying to change the subject to health policy while everyone wants to ask about the Labour civil war. He said blocking Burnham was about not diverting resources from the May elections, that having an unnecessary mayoral election would take money and people away from the local Welsh and Scottish elections they must fight. That justification is becoming Labour's official talking point, repeated by multiple people now. It sounds reasonable on the surface. Why waste resources on an election you don't have to have when important elections are coming in May? But it completely ignores the political cost of blocking Burnham, the damage to party unity, the fury from MPs, and the risk that they might now lose Gorton and Denton to Reform because they refuse to run their strongest candidate. The claim that we need all of our focus on those elections rings hollow when Labour's focus right now is entirely consumed by internal warfare over the Burnham decision. They're not talking about their positive vision for May's elections. They're defending why they blocked their own candidate and trying to contain MP rebellion. The distraction they were trying to avoid by blocking Burnham is happening anyway, just in a different form. Starmer saying Andy Burnham's doing a great job as Manchester mayor is the kind of praise that sounds nice, but is actually passive-aggressive in context. It's basically saying, you're doing well where you are, so stay there. We don't want you in Westminster. It's the political equivalent of telling someone they're too valuable in their current role to promote them, when really you just don't want them getting more power. The characterization of the battle of our times being between Labour and Reform rather than within Labour is Starmer trying to refocus attention externally. He's right that Reform's the biggest electoral threat. He's right that they need to be fighting Reform, not each other. But you can't will away internal conflict by declaring it doesn't matter. The battle within Labour is very real, it's very damaging, and pretending otherwise doesn't make it go away. The NEC vote being 10 people, including Starmer personally denying Burnham permission, highlights how small the group was making this decision. 10 people decided to block one of Labour's most popular figures from standing, against the wishes of multiple senior Labour politicians who'd publicly said he should be allowed. That's exactly what critics mean when they talk about a stitch-up by a small group at the top. But here's where it gets properly spicy. A well-placed Westminster source told The Express that Wes Streeting could move against Starmer as soon as this week while he's abroad. Wes Streeting is the health secretary, a rising star in Labour, someone with genuine political skills and ambition. He was already the target of briefings in November suggesting he was hoping to unseat Starmer, which he denied. But the rumors persist, and now sources are saying he might make his move while Starmer's literally on another continent. The idea of launching a leadership challenge while your leader's in China is both brilliant and absolutely savage. Starmer would be thousands of miles away, unable to respond quickly, unable to organize his defense effectively, unable to do the backroom dealing and reassuring that keeps challenges from succeeding. If Streeting or anyone else was going to move against Starmer, doing it while he's in Beijing would maximize the chaos and minimize Starmer's ability to fight back. The source saying Starmer's position is untenable now, it's going to happen sooner than later, is either genuine inside information or wishful thinking from Starmer's enemies. But the fact that these rumors are even circulating, that people are seriously discussing the possibility of a leadership challenge against a prime minister who won a landslide less than a year ago, shows how badly things have deteriorated. Nigel Farage's reaction to Burnham being blocked is political gold for reform. He admitted, frankly, that Burnham would have galvanized the anti-Starmer vote, pushed turnout up, and been very difficult to beat. Farage saying we might have come a good second against Burnham is both realistic and strategic, because it manages expectations while making clear Burnham was formidable. But now Burnham's not running. Farage thinks the anti-Starmer vote will coalesce around reform, and their chances have improved massively overnight. That's devastating for Labour because it's their own biggest opponent saying they've just made his job easier. Farage is basically thanking Labour for blocking their strongest candidate and handing Reform a better chance at winning. The comparison to Runcorn, another traditional safe Labour seat, suggests Farage sees this as similar territory where Reform can make gains. Saying it'll probably be very close but they're in for a serious shout is perfect expectation management. Even if Reform loses narrowly, they can claim it as a moral victory in a Labour hold strong. Andy Burnham's comments on Monday at the Whitworth Art Gallery show he's trying to move on publicly while the sting is clearly still there. Saying, "I have said everything I needed to say and I'm getting on with my job now," is taking the high road, being professional, not dragging the story out. But his joke about having nothing else to do this weekend except read a report is perfect British humor, dry and self-deprecating, while also making the point that he was supposed to be campaigning this weekend and instead was blocked. The event being about working-class people struggling to break into the arts world is almost too perfect as a metaphor. Burnham is literally speaking at an event about class barriers and being shut out of opportunities, while he's just been shut out of an opportunity to return to Parliament by people he sees as the establishment blocking him. Whether that irony was intentional or coincidental, it's certainly noticeable. The fact that Burnham joked about it rather than expressing bitterness shows political skill. He's not giving his enemies ammunition by appearing wounded or angry. He's being gracious and moving on publicly, while privately his supporters are organizing opposition and passing letters around. That's smart politics because it positions him as the bigger person while others fight his battles. The timing of Starmer's China trip really couldn't be worse from a political standpoint. He's leaving the country right as this civil war is raging, right as a crucial by-election campaign is starting, right as rumors of leadership challenges are swirling. If anything major happens while he's gone, if the Streeting rumors have any truth to them, if more MPs come out publicly attacking the decision, Starmer's going to be stuck in Beijing, unable to effectively respond. International trips are always risky for leaders dealing with domestic crises because you can't be in two places at once. You're either focusing on the foreign engagement, in which case you look disconnected from problems at home, or you're constantly on the phone dealing with domestic issues, in which case you're disrespecting your foreign hosts and undermining the point of the trip. There's no way to win. The trade talks with China and Japan are genuinely important. Britain needs strong economic relationships post-Brexit, and strengthening ties to Asian economies is smart strategy. But the optics of fleeing domestic chaos for foreign shores are terrible, and Starmer's opponents will absolutely exploit that. Every minute he's in Beijing is another minute his enemies have to organize, to build opposition, to position themselves. If you want every update on whether Starmer's China trip turns into a political disaster, whether the Streeting rumors materialize, whether the Burnham letter campaign gains momentum, whether reform actually capitalizes on Labour's chaos in Gorton and Denton, I must subscribe to UK Political Insight right now. We're covering every development multiple times daily because this situation's incredibly volatile and changing fast. Hit that notification bell so you catch every update instantly. Drop a comment predicting what happens while Starmer's abroad, whether this China trip is political suicide or brilliant timing to let things cool down, whether Wes Streeting actually makes a move, because I genuinely want to hear your predictions before Starmer even boards the plane. Until next time, keep watching this chaos unfold, keep questioning whether Starmer can survive his own party, and remember that sometimes the worst possible time to leave the country is exactly when your flight's already booked. This is going to be absolutely wild.